Well, let's move to another item that does certainly also connect me to your background in the Shin Bet. The Israel Police and the Internal Security Agency announced today that a school teacher from the Israeli Arab town of En Mahil in northern Israel near Nazareth had been arrested of aiding Hamas by providing information that would help the terror group fire rockets from Gaza at sensitive security sites inside Israel. Rami Habibullah apparently contacted Hamas after October 7th and offered his assistance, and then recruited a second resident of his village, Khalid Saleh, to join a terror cell that would be based in Israel. Both have been indicted on several charges relating to conspiracy to carry out terrorist activities. Here's a comment from the Israeli police on the case.
This morning, a serious indictment was filed against a teacher in the north for several security offenses. During the investigation, it emerged that the teacher contacted terrorist organizations abroad and sent them photos of factories in sensitive locations in Israel in order to bomb them with rocket fire. The investigation also revealed that the accused raised funds for the terrorist organizations and recruited several people for terrorist activities inside Israel.
I think we have to stress at this point, gentlemen, that the vast majority of Israel's Arab population, especially in this conflict, have shown themselves, if you want to say supportive, in some way supportive of the idea, for at least not, in contrast to some previous operations, not proving they're an active opposition to it. But it also has to be said, I mean, this is not the first case in which members of Israel's Arab population have been sought and sometimes successfully recruited, either by, in this case, Hamas, but we've seen also Hezbollah, ISIS, and Iran itself.
Yes, of course, when we see that the population of the Palestinians inside Israel, that they are Israelis, have a conflict, and the conflict is national, is if they are Palestinian or Israeli. And this conflict is all the time on the table at the places. And if they choose to work as an Israeli, to work with the Israeli cooperatively, and to feel like an Israeli, they getting worth with it. But if not, they can be a target of the Islam radical, the movements of the Hamas, of the Hezbollah, a target for recruiting to work with them against Israel. So, of course, we can see a lot of people in the last years that was recruited and maybe sometimes trained by the Hamas or by the Hezbollah to deal with that kind of activities inside of Israel. This is espionage, and it's very good place for them to look for people that will work with them in the population of the Palestinian inside Israel.
Right. Though again, I do want to say, and maybe we should underscore this, that unlike Israel's previous operation against Hamas in Gaza, we have not seen the kind of civil unrest that we saw during what we call, say, the May riots.
Right.
That we even saw here in Jaffa, maybe in large part because many of the victims of the October 7th attack themselves were members of the Israeli Arab community, and that may have been that's significant.
Right. During Guardian of the Walls, just some 2 years ago, we saw that uprising here in Israel. It was difficult to get to our studios because there are burning tires right on the road outside our studio. The situation is different now, and I think the Israeli reaction, the very swift and hard reaction to the massacre committed by Hamas, has really shocked, I think, and both Hamas, but also Hamas supporters and others in the region, including the West Bank and the Israeli Arab population, and of course many of the Israeli Arabs living here were affected by the massacre. We saw that Hamas terrorists did not spare many Arabs, Muslims, Bedouins that were in that area. And tomorrow I will be attending a special event in Jerusalem that is a tribute to Bedouin heroes who saved lives of Israeli civilians, most of them Jews, of course, as we know, the main victims of this attack. And that is worth noting, that many Bedouins were true heroes, saving lives of dozens of Israelis, whether rescuing them from the nature party or giving them shelter during the first days of the onslaught, when we had some 3,000 terrorists from Hamas and other Islamist groups out of Gaza inside Israeli territory. And that is definitely worth honoring, and it really strengthens, I think, as well, the connection and their sense of being Israeli civilians under the same fate here with the same enemies as well.
Right. Just briefly, Amit, I do want to add, next month begins the Muslim holiday of Ramadan, always a sensitive time on security situation, including within Israel, among Israeli Arabs. So that's something the security establishment has to take into account.
Yes, I think that the war will not stop because of the Ramadan. Okay, let's put it on the table. But still, it's a sensitive time, and we have to honor the Islam inside Israel, of course, if they honor us. And if we will need to do any measures against some kind of reaction of something that we saw in the past in the Ramadan, we will do it. But still, I think nobody will try Israel now after what we see in the Gaza Strip.